Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of inheriting a business, um, specifically from a parent. But I guess uh, a lot of these things could apply to if you're inheriting a business from a friend or an uncle or something. I don't know. Um, and I would like to clarify I'm going to be doing these solo podcasts by myself uh, every other week, and I'm going to be doing a podcast with a guest um, every other week. So, uh, Monday, last Monday, I recorded and uploaded the podcast with Dan Murphy. It was amazing. Next Monday is actually going to be Charity Kearney, uh, and we just recorded it. It was amazing. You guys are absolutely going to love it. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss that when it comes out. Um, but as a lot of you know, and a lot of you don't know, I sell motorcycles with my dad. He's been doing it for 30 years, over 30 years. And there's a lot of pros and cons. I know in the online space, there's a lot of talk about 9 to 5s, hating on 9 to 5s, and you got to get financial freedom. You need to own your own business. I think it isn't as great as people idealize it to be. There's definitely a lot of pros, but there are a lot of cons as well. And you know what's funny is I'm actually not going to allow my parents to watch this episode because I don't want them to think that I'm complaining about the situation that I'm in or that I'm ungrateful for the situation that I'm in. So because I am very, very thankful and I do enjoy it, and I always have the choice to not do it. So I'm making the choice to do it right now. But you know, there are ton of pros and cons, and I think it's worth talking about, especially considering I'm someone who has experience in this, and I'm sure a lot of you, at least kids around my age who are chronically online, or maybe not chronically online, but uh, kind of gravitate towards the self improvement sphere of the internet and the business people and the Andrew Tates and all the people talking about, oh, you got to own your own business, you got to make your own money, hating on 9 to 5s, like I said before. So I will go through some of the pros and then I'll go through some of the cons towards the end. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I'll try and keep it concise, uh, short enough where it's not boring, but I'm going to explain everything enough where you can completely understand it. And again, like I want to bring this to you in an unbiased manner because, you know, if you wanted to do it and you hear all the cons and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound so bad, then maybe it's something that you should do. And maybe if you hear some of the cons and you're like, well, I'm not willing to sacrifice those things, you can make that decision and not start a business, inherit a business, whatever. So the first pro, which is pretty obvious, is you're working with a parent or you're working with someone who you know pretty well. Otherwise, I don't think they'd kind of hand you a business. And keep in mind, I wasn't handed a business. I'm kind of just part of it now. But I still get the general idea of what it's like. So that's why I'm speaking about this. Working with a parent, it's great. Honestly, it's nice being around someone you know that well all the time. Someone you know you can joke around with. Someone that knows you more, a lot of the times more than you even know yourself. And they can be merciful to you about, things that need to get done, struggles that you're going through. They can be a little bit more personal about that. It's not as cookie cutter as I'll compare this to when I worked at Home Depot. They don't care if you're sick. They just care that you're sick. They don't care how sick you are. All that matters to them is you're either going into work or you're not going into work. And there's a lot less of that. I don't know if that Sounds weird. But yeah, just like if I have a cold, it's very different than me getting my appendix removed like I did. And uh my dad's going to give me a lot more mercy when it comes to the more harsh sicknesses and injuries that I go through. That's a big thing. Um, Freedom of time is another big thing. I'm going to Austin, Texas, November 8th to November 12th, just with a friend. I'm just going. I don't really have any reason to go other than the fact that I want to and that I'm able to. And it's not like I have to put in a 2-week request and hope to get it off. And if I can't get it off, then I can't go on the trip. And I don't have vacation time or sick time. I can kind of just do it if I want to do it. And obviously, if you're inheriting the business, then there might be some conversations that need to be done if you're taking off too much time. And then, if you own your own business, then a lot of times you just shouldn't take the time off. You can maybe, but you're not going to be successful if you take too much time off. So that's another thing. Freedom with time is very cool. Obviously, when it comes to inheriting a business, the head start is massive. So that's one thing I'm super grateful for. Is, like I said, my dad has been doing this for 30 years. So he's already built the name, the ideas, the everything, the license, the dealer's license, all these things that he's built and that I am kind of just jumping into and taking as my own and reaping the benefits of. And that's a very, very big thing. I don't think people realize how much effort it is and how much risk it is when you're starting your own business. Because theoretically, you're not actually making money at the beginning. He was privileged in the fact that he was working a full-time job and did this on the side and then ended up being like, okay, well, I'm going to make the switch now. But if you're going to go all in on one business and that's not already making money, I can't imagine how scary that is, how stressful that is. And you're starting from nothing. So that head start is massive. So massive. I don't know what I'd do. It also gives you a direction. How about that? It also gives you a direction. Because if you want to start your own business, it's such a general term. Like, what does that even mean? Start your own business. Okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to sell? Are you going to sell a service? Are you going to sell a product? Is it going to be subscription-based? Is it going to be by time? Is it going to be by product? Everything that you sell. Are you going to give discounts if they buy more? Are you going to have employees? Are you going to pay these how much are you going to pay these employees? What are you going to have them do? What are you going to rely yourself on doing? All these sort of things. What are you going to budget? What are you going to do? That you already have that when you're locked in and when you inherit a business. It's like someone else built the foundation. And sometimes they built the whole house and you're kind of just stepping in the house and maintaining it. That's what it seems like. And those are some of the pros. So I can't downplay how big the head start is in the direction. Another pro to sort of inheriting a business is that there's a higher ceiling. And this is, I guess this goes for owning your own business in general. You have a way higher ceiling. So in a 9-to-5, you can always get promotions. Maybe you can get a new job that pays you more, but not in the same way that owning your own business does. It's almost like sky's the limit. The range, let's say, I hate ripping on 9-to-5s because because there's a lot of good things about it and a lot of people that are very satisfied with their 9 to 5. But just say theoretically that in a 9 to 5, your percentage of success that you can be at is 40 to 70%. You're going to be in that range. You may be towards 70%, but you might also be towards 40% if you're not doing too great. But when you own your own business, that's 0 to 100 and past 100, and a lot of times past 0 in the opposite direction. It's a lot more risky. It's a lot more risky, obviously. There's a lot that can go wrong that can't really go wrong in 9 to 5s. A lot of 9 to 5s have job security. They get benefits, so like insurance and stuff like that. A lot of that you don't have if you own your own business. You're kind of just hoping this works. But like I said as well, the ceiling is way higher. And there almost is no ceiling. You can just build and build and build and grow and grow and grow your business all you want, and it'll just keep going. So those are the pros. When it comes to the cons, I do want to preface this with saying that I am super blessed in the position that I'm in, and I'm not ungrateful. I know I kind of said that at the beginning, but these might sound a little bit like complaining, and I hope you don't think that's what it is. So, first thing, it can definitely affect your relationship with your parents, or parent, whoever you're inheriting the business from. So I work with my dad. I see him every single day, and that's not a bad thing, I don't think. But it's almost like that's all you can talk about. It's almost like he's my boss, he's not my dad. And, that stuff definitely gets frustrating. It's definitely very frustrating. If you've never experienced it, it's pretty easy to imagine too. Just imagine your dad being your boss, and you can kind of imagine how that can be complicated sometimes. And that some people like that as well. But it definitely affects your relationship where it's almost like you guys are not family. It's more like your business partners. And if you how do I say this? I think you'd realize if you spend too much time with someone that you kind of get frustrated with them, even when they don't do anything wrong. And then you spend some time away from them and you start liking them a lot more and being like, wow, I want to see them. I miss them. I think that's what it is. That's definitely what it is. And so, definitely can affect your relationship with whoever you're working for or inheriting the business from, whatever. Generally, owning your own business, working for yourself, inheriting a business, all that jazz, it's generally a lot more work. So, like I said, you have the time freedom, which is very good. But, you take that time off, that's money out of your pocket that you're not able to get back. And a lot of the times, since a business is way more risky than, say, working a 9 to 5, is you can fail. And when you fail, you're done. It's not like you make a mistake at a 9 to 5, get fired, and you can just, okay, I'm out of work for a month, I can find a new job. It's not like that. A lot of the times, these people who start businesses and don't work the 9 to 5s, they didn't go to college, they don't have degrees, they don't have experience. So it's going to be hard for them to get hired by someone if they fail in their business. And a lot of the times, their only choice is to try again. And, that definitely wears on the mind. It wears on the body when you're spending so much time doing a business. late nights, early mornings. You don't get sympathy for that either. You don't get paid more for working a 12-hour day. You just do it because you have to do it. And that can definitely wear on people. Another thing is when you're done with work, you aren't really done. Even if you leave it and go home, it's kind of always on the back of your mind. It's always kind of like, well, I could be doing more right now. And maybe that's just me. And I know I have that inclination anyway, especially when it comes to this podcast where I'll be playing video games with friends or something, and I'm just like, wow, I feel kind of useless. Like I should be doing something productive. And that's not not that I'm a high achiever, but it's more just I'm very self-critical in that aspect. And I don't think that's healthy. I actually don't know if it's healthy. I'm sure it is a good thing in the long term because it pushes me to do more, literally, and be more productive and therefore get results that I want. But it sure is draining on the mind and draining on the body. It can be. It can be. Another thing, and I don't know if this is a personal thing or if this happens to people who inherit a business from their parents or someone that's successful, is it's kind of like a new bar that you have to get over. So you inherit this successful business. Let's say they make, I don't know, $800,000 a year. Or let's even make it more ridiculous. Let's say you inherit a business that your dad started and it's Nike and it makes billions of dollars a year. How do you one up that? How do you one up that? You almost can't. And I'm sure that's hard to live with. I haven't really gone through that yet, but I kind of see it. I kind of see it ahead in the fog. Hasn't hit me yet, but I definitely know that can come where, like, I know how successful my dad is, and I know these numbers and stuff, and I'm just like, it is stressful to think that if I don't beat that by a significant margin, then I feel like a failure. Even though in the eyes of society and the eyes of other people, I can still be successful, but in my own mind, I wouldn't be able to stand myself. I wouldn't be okay with the amount of money I made or the amount of stuff I got done if I don't beat my dad. It's that head start. The head start's huge, but when you're given a head start, you need to take it and run. And if you don't do that, well, if you maintain where you're at, you might feel like a failure. That's a very, very big thing. You know, it's something that I personally struggle with too. Is just having this ideal in my mind of where my life's gonna be and what it's gonna be when I'm older, and I know that it's unrealistic, but I'm scared that if I don't live up to it, I'm gonna feel like a failure and feel like I don't even know. Because it's irrational. It's an irrational fear. I need to remember that. And then another thing about working for yourself or starting a business or inheriting a business is a lot of times it is lonely. It's lonely. You're not around people all the time necessarily. I guess sometimes you are, depending on who you're working with and what you do. But it can be lonely. I just did the podcast with Charity, and this is a little sneak peek, but she was saying how in any sort of leadership role, there's a sort of loneliness that comes with it. Because the people who you're leading a lot of the times will try to become friends with you, be the teacher's pet, so they have some sort of influence with someone powerful, or they do it for clout, or for whatever. So that's definitely something you have to keep in mind if you want to start your own business. and you want to hire people is that a lot of the times these people will try and use you for stuff, and not always, and you can always choose the right people, and I know all that stuff, but just generally as a human, that's how it's going to be in leadership roles. There's a little bit of loneliness to it. I think everyone feels the loneliness, though. If you're in a 9 to 5, you might feel like you never lived up to your potential. You may feel like you're kind of stuck in this 40-70, like I said, 40%, 70%. You kind of range there, and you're like, oh, I want to be 150% successful, but I just can't get there doing this. And I know when you're secure in a 9 to 5 and you want to start a business, it's terrifying. I can imagine. But that's all I have to say today, guys. Thank you for listening. I know I've rambled on, and honestly, I don't know how much sense I made. I'm getting better at this talking with myself type of thing. You know, it's a little weird just staring into that camera and talking, but I did enjoy it. And thank you guys for listening. Be back next week with Charity. Please subscribe. You are not going to want to miss this episode with Charity. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.